All right, so let's begin. Let's start. We are on time. Welcome to this seminar. Good morning, maybe good evening. I don't know if what time is exactly on the country you are watching us today. Let's start with this presentation. Okay, this webinar where we wanna see the new features that were implemented in CYPE. In this new version, that is the version 2025B. Okay, so this version that was launched just 2 days ago. Okay, so on 1st of July, this version was launched. I am Afonso Solac. I'm civil engineer, and I work as marketing director here at CYPE, and I will be here today in this presentation sharing or trying to see the most important features that were included in our software in this version. Okay, so thank you for your presence. I'm very glad that you are here watching this content, and just would like to share with you some little comments before we start. Okay, so remembering that this section, as all presentations that we do here at CYPE, they are recorded, and in this case we are recording, and this content will be also available on our YouTube channel or in our website in a few hours, maybe tomorrow. So feel free to come back to this content, and if you have any doubts or you want to see something again, you have this chance, this opportunity to check this content again, following us on YouTube or checking our website. Okay, I would like also to say that you have an option to send messages to us. We have a chat option in this platform that we are using. So try to find this option on your tool, and then you can send a message to us. I have a colleague here with me that is answering these questions together, during the presentation. So if you have any doubt or any suggestion, please feel free to send us a message using this section that is available. Okay, before we really start with the features that were selected for this presentation, just let me talk something that I think is very important to this case. That is, this is a very important version because we have two or three big changes in softwares that are very popular in our compendium, in our suite of softwares. So it was necessary to separate this section in different parts. Okay, so this is just the first section. It's going to work as an index of new features. I will try to cover the most important features from those softwares that received less features, but those softwares that have too much features, we will need more webinars to show in detail what changed. Okay, so if you want to see this calendar or this agenda with the other webinars, I just recommend you to come to our website and look for this training option that we have here, using this option that is the courses and seminars, and look for the presentation schedule. Okay, here in the presentation schedule you can always find all the presentations that we are doing, and in this case, if you filter by English, that is the situation that we have here. In this case, you can see all the new webinars that we will be transmitting in the next days. Okay, some of them have this little tag here that is release of the CYPE version 2025B, and if you click here, you see the 4 main sections that were prepared to show all the features that are related to this update. Okay, so we are starting today with this one. Discover the main new features and improvements implemented in CYPE version 2025B. But from tomorrow, next week, we'll also see new features related to the CYPE fire hydraulic systems that had received some options that are quite interesting and very practical, I would say. And also we'll see the huge change that we have on CYPE 3D. Okay, CYPE 3D, that is one of our main softwares in this version. It's really different. The interface had received new options to model a structure. We'll see some details today, but the idea is that you come back to the section on July 10th to see in detail what changed. and also on CYPE Connect that also now have new operations to create shear lugs and also define contact relationship between two different elements. So CYPE Connect as it's part of our traditional updates. It's receiving a lot of new features in the past updates, and now it's the same situation. Okay, so let's start. Before we start, let me turn off here my camera, then you have more space on your screen. You can see all the details of the software, so you can have full screen and see all the parts of the software. Okay, all right, and just remembering that all the features that we will be sharing here in this session, you can also check it here in the Solutions tab, in the Solutions menu in our website, looking for the new features link. Okay, and here you can see the 2025B version list, and you can see what is new here. So I'll also share this link with you in the chat, so then you can check it because there are some details that maybe it's important to you to read. And if you had been asking for us to new options or sending us some suggestions, so maybe some of your wishes could have come true here in this version. So maybe here you can find one of your suggestions in the past months. So feel free to open this link and read a little bit and trying to understand what changed on those softwares that you usually work. Okay. So the first feature that I think it's important to us to talk a little bit, it's actually a very transversal feature. It applies to all the softwares that we have here at CYPE. It's related again with the CYPE menu. Okay, so CYPE menu, let me open here the CYPE menu. It's this little guy that we have here. Let me just minimize here some of the windows so we have some more clean screen here. Okay, so CYPE menu is this software here, this little app that is used to organize, to manage all the tools that we have here in the CYPE ecosystem. So this menu was updated in the previous version in 2025A, but now in the 2025B we added some other features to help you to manage your tools. Just remembering, the softwares are classified here in 8 main categories. So softwares for architectural modeling, softwares for structural analysis and structural detailing, softwares for mechanical and plumbing installations, softwares for electrical and telecommunications installations, for energy and acoustic simulations, for project management, for project documents, and also softwares that are used to have a good interoperability with other softwares that were not developed by CYPE. Okay, so here you can find the main softwares that we have, and remembering that when you have a software that is highlighted by its color, it means that this software is installed in your computer, and if it's on grayscale, it means that it's not installed yet. Okay, so this is actually just remembering some parts of the previous versions. And I think the first new feature that we have here in this menu in 2025B, it's the option that we have to log in with our BIMserver.center account, okay, directly here on CYPE menu. Okay, remembering that all the softwares that we have at CYPE, they are connected to the platform, to this platform that is called BIMserver.center, and that it also the platform that works as a link, as a bridge between 2 or more softwares in our ecosystem. So here you have now the chance to log in with your account here on the CYPE menu, and everything is going to be connected. Okay, so if you install something here or you update something here, then in the platform you can also check the list of softwares that are updated or those that were installed. Okay, so this is one feature. If it's your first time installing this menu, you probably don't see your name here. So just click in this area to log in, add the same credentials that you have to the platform, and then everything is going to be connected here. Okay. The second change, and I think it's very nice in this new version of the CYPE menu, is the a possibility that we have to install multiple softwares in the same moment. So, for example, Portal Frame Generator is a software that is not installed in this computer. So if I select here, I can install one of the versions of Portal Frame Generator. And once I click it to install, I see this message here that the software is installing. Okay, so the install process could be something a little bit more. You can need a little bit more time or less time according to the size of the software, the type of software. So if you want now, you can also, for example, install a second software, for example, CYPE Connect, and leave both of them installing, and you can do this process with as many softwares as you need. Okay, so now you don't have to wait the process of installing a first software to then start installing a second software. Okay, so as you can see, I started the Portal Frame Generator before. Now here I will just select the type of licenses that I want to use and also the language I would like to install, for example, English. And the Portal Frame Generator now it's installing, while CYPE Connect will start in some moments in a while. And then now you can see CYPE Connect, so professional, installing in English, and now I can leave both of the softwares installing here while I keep working with CYPE, opening a software, updating another one, or doing whatever any other activity that I need with the CYPE ecosystem. Okay. Another new feature here that is also related to the update process is this new button here. As you can see, in my softwares, I have some softwares that are updated, so I don't see any message telling me that the softwares are that we need to update. But here on my structural combination of softwares or selection of softwares, I can see that CYPECAD is not updated. So I have the option to click here and update CYPECAD. We can imagine that it can happen with different softwares, with multiple softwares in the same update as is this case. And if we have more software that are not updated, we will see here. So here we will see a button that we have a number of updates missing. And if we click here, all the softwares that have this message to update will start updating together. Okay, so then you will finish with everything updated. So if you have all the softwares of the CYPE menu installed and needing to update, you just have to press here and everything is going to be updated. Okay, so these features, they are little features, but they can really help you when you are updating your software. So I really recommend you to check a little bit these details. Okay, remembering that here at in the CYPE menu we have two types of softwares. Softwares that are totally for free, as is CYPE Architecture. Okay, so here in CYPE Architecture, if I click here in this little symbol with 3 dots, I can see that the software that I'm using is the version 2025B, and that is a free software. Okay, so here I have the chance to start working with the software, and I can also see this new information that is available, telling us that the version that I installed is the version of this with this code, this number, but also with this time. This date and time. This is very useful if you are having any problem or any doubt and you need to contact our technical support, and then when you are contacting us, you must check which version you really have in your computer. So with this information, it's going to be easier to try to find a solution for your problem. Okay. Another interesting option that we have here is this link here. If we click here, we can open the page of this software in the platform, in the BIMserver.center platform, okay, where we can also see the questions and answers that in this forum that is created for each application that we have. So if you have any doubt about this software, you can just add here your doubt. Maybe another user will answer, or maybe someone from our team is gonna answer. And here you can also see the projects from other users that have been sharing their projects in the cloud. Okay, and also here you can download the software if you want to work with the software isolated from this CYPE menu, installing just one of the softwares without having to install all the others. Okay, so this new little button that you saw here, it's also very useful if you want to see more information about one specific software. You have this button here. Okay. All right, so let's start with structures. Let's start with CYPE. Okay, so today we have new features for CYPE, for CYPE 3D, and then also for CYPE Connect, turbine steels, turbine shear walls, turbine embedded walls, turbine cantilever walls. Okay, different softwares from our structural analysis and detailing suite, let's say, that have new features today. So let's start with CYPE. For CYPE, I've selected 3 features that I think are the most relevant for this version. So let me open the software here. Here I have CYPE. Just a little model, a little building that is actually one of the examples of the software. So here with it different levels, okay? And the first feature that I would like to share with you, it's here in the beam definition tab, okay? It's related to the slabs. It's this new option here, okay? Now from this version, we can assign covers, okay? We can use this option to assign covers to slabs. In the past versions, it was option to assign these covers, but it was necessary to add a general value to all the slabs of the project. Okay, from now on you can select between using the project general data, the information that you define it using here, the options, general options that are available here, or you can specify a specific cover for each one of the panels of the structure. Okay, let's imagine you have a situation where the structure is exposed in a different situation. Parts are external, parts are internal. If you want to add a specific cover because the surface is exposed to a specific chemical or any other substance, so now you can specify it using this option. Okay, so it's very easy to do. We have here like 3 values that we can work. We can work with the top cover, we can use the bottom cover and the side cover. Okay, so you can add these values. You define here the value, you just click on assign, and then you select the panel to which panel you want to assign this value. Okay, this works not just with unidirection slabs like this. Okay, it's gonna work with all those panels or all those slabs that are that have these covers. Okay, so sorry, I just deleted here my cover. Let me. So I'm talking about these options here. So the flat slabs, the wolf slabs. Okay, all those that are cast in place with a cast in place concrete. You can define this cover, so it's gonna work in the same way. Okay. Let's just analyze this. Let's just add some covers here. For example, in my in this option, just to show one example, I will change some values here for 2, for example, and this one's gonna be like 4. I'm just getting randomly some changes here. Let's analyze. Here is the foundation. Let's analyze it. Almost finishing here. I would like to show you the reports that we have with this detail. So yeah, it was analyzed. So these changes on the coverings, when we export one report here in the, let me see where it was, the job data report. Here we can open all the chapters. Let me turn it all off. And here, for example, in the reports that are related to the covers, in the past versions, we already had the column covers, the beam covers, and now we have here these slabs covers. If we accept, we can see the type of report that we have. So basically, the report is telling to us that on this concrete joist slabs on the second and third floor, in these slabs J5, J1, J4, J2, the top was different, and the top cover for all the rest of the concrete joist slabs in the project are 3 centimeters, because these were those that are defined by default in the general data. So this is the type of reports that we will have when we change one specific panel's cover. Okay, so remember that now you have also this option. It's available on the panels menu, okay, in the slabs definition menu, sorry. Okay, so let's see the second feature from CYPE CAD. Okay, in this case we'll talk about the punching shear studs. Okay, we'll see some details that we changed a little bit here in the software. So I have another project that I already left open here also at CYPE CAD. Another just an example for tests. Okay, so it's not a real project, but it's very peculiar because we have these corners, these very strange corners here, okay, in the different levels that we have. This little structure, it's already analyzed, okay, so the analysis was finished, and I am here in the results tab. So let's imagine that for the portion, I can add some elements here, some elements in these slabs. For example, open here the slabs to add punching shear elements, punching shear bolts. Okay, so with this button here I can add it. Actually, in my project, let me change the slab here. I already introduced some of these elements here in different situations here. Okay, and there are some new features that we have been implementing in the past versions, and we are finishing in this one, because now you can introduce these bolts from specific brands, okay, different brands that produce this kind of bolts, because we see this little catalog management here, okay. And from this version, or actually 2 or 3 updates ago, but now we are finalizing, we are adding a little bit more elements from PECO, okay, from PECO. So here I can download these elements. Actually, I already downloaded in my software, okay. And then these elements, they will be available here to introduce, okay. When we add one of these elements, okay, we have here options to introduce different types of elements, and we can also generate these elements automatically. And when we select this this punching shear reinforcement, there are different types. For example, with reinforcement inclined at 45 degrees, beam type reinforcements, but in this case we are talking about the studs. Okay, and when we talk about the studs, here we see this little icon again. It means that PECO, or those manufacturers that will be introducing the next versions here at CYPE CAD, they will be available to be selected here, okay. And according to the geometrical and mechanical properties that PECO in this case had in their technical information, now we will import these properties to the project, okay. So all this data, now we just have to select the model of the bolt here, the stud, and then use these properties, okay. One of the main points that I think it's very important in this case of PECO is that if we see here the description about this new feature from the 2005B version, is that the studs that are analyzed at CYPE CAD using the information from PECO, they are according to the specifications of the EOTA TR060, that is the European Organization for Technical Assessment, okay. So these studs, this punching shear studs from PECO are according to this regulation, okay. If you wanna understand a little bit more about this regulation, what I recommend to you is just search for Google to this in the Google to this code here. You find easily, it's for free, okay? And then you can find more information about these safety conditions that were considered in this case, okay? Another point that we can see here is that after analyzing these structures, we can see in the checks, the summary of these checks, let's open here, that somewhere here we'll find we'll find the points where these elements were where this regulation was seated, okay? Actually here I cannot find it, but somewhere here in our reports, let's open it somewhere here. I think if we do like this, it's gonna be easier. Yeah, so somewhere here we'll see that the one of these parameters, it's gonna be related to that regulation, okay? Let me see here, the external one, here, the external zone to the punching shear reinforcement, okay? So there is a specific formula to that, and here we can see that this parameter here, the reduced factor for taking into account the effect of the eccentricity in the perimeter of, according to this point of the regulation, it was checked too, okay? So it's a special situation that will increase a little bit the security of your project, and it's a level a little bit higher that you can have in your project, and then had better projects to then present to your clients. Okay, so remember that now you can also introduce the PECO both to the pushing reinforcements at CYPE, and you can also check according to this regulation, that is because the PECO system is according to that regulation. Okay. Okay, let's see the third feature of CYPE. Okay, so the third feature, it's one option that we have to check the fire resistance of steel elements, or actually we can check the different type of materials, but in this case especially we will talk a little bit about steel elements, because now we can add some protections to the elements, some intumescent paints according to catalogs from different manufacturers that are now available at CYPE. Okay, so there are different ways to protect the structure against the fire, and we'll use this new feature to do a little example to see how we can set these parameters at CYPE and then see some results. Okay, so I have here a little model that was developed here also at CYPE. It's integrated with BIMserver.center with an architectural model. It's a quite singular structure, okay? The point is, we have here a structural element, a steel structure, sorry. And if I deactivate the architecture itself, or part of the architectural elements, you see that there are just some steel profiles like the beams and the columns, and some slabs that are in concrete, okay? Here at CYPE, you can see this element. There are some elements that are not well designed yet. We should change some sections that are not verified yet, but it doesn't matter to this example. Okay, it's just to show you some steel elements here at CYPE. Okay, this kind of verification that we'll see now, it's also available at CYPE 3D. Actually, some weeks ago we had a seminar specifically explain this same situation at CYPE 3D, and now we have also this new feature at CYPE. Okay, so let's do one example. Okay, normally what we do here when we start the project, when we are setting the general data, selecting the codes that we have here, then we have the options to decide what kind of loads we'll introduce in our structure. Okay, so besides the mechanical loads, let's say the the wind, the seismic, and the dead and live loads, we also have the fire resistance that could be checked. Okay, so when we check this button here, we, according to these codes that were selected before, we can open this panel here where we can set the general data related to the fire resistance check of this structure. Okay, and here CYPE offers some options that are quite interesting. The first thing that we can see in this table that are there is one line, okay, one row to each one of the levels of my structure. So in this structure I have level 1, level 2, and a roof. And for the elements that are in these levels, then I can decide some parameters, some different parameters. Okay, for example, the first thing that I can decide here is the fire resistance, so the time that the structure should resist. Okay, so in this case I just decided here 60 minutes. It's just an example. Okay, here we can also define how it's gonna be the protection of the elements. Okay, both concrete, for example, here in this columns and walls. Okay, and here that is the part that it's the main point of this new feature. There are the protections that we can add to the steel elements, both beam and columns. Okay, and then also if we have timber and cladding elements, we can also do the same situation, but I will center here in the steel elements because this is the structure of today. Okay, and the point is, for each one of these combination that are related to the level and the type of elements, we can set how we will protect this element. For example, here in my beams, okay, for the 3 levels, I could select here different types of covers: mineral fiber spray, plasterboard, calcium silicate fiber board. And there is one specific situation that is the intumescent paint, okay, that we can also select here. The new feature that was implemented here in this version is that besides introducing a generic intumescent paint, we have this little button here to open the catalog of manufacturers that is available here at CYPE, and we can select one of these catalogs, one of these manufacturers, and download the information, the technical data from this intumescent paint in this case to CYPE, and then we can select these materials to then cover the structure and then check the fire resistance. Okay, so I've just downloaded here some of them. Okay, Hempel, International Paint, Sherwin-Williams, and when I finish this option, I will see here all of them: the Sherwin-Williams, the Hempel, and the International Paint. And according to the brand, I will see here the types of intumescent paint that are available. Okay, for each manufacturer, I have here different references, and once I select one that I want, I just accept, and to this combination of, in this table, according to the level and the type, I will protect the structural element with this intumescent paint. Okay, so just to see what's the difference between adding these intumescent paints in the structure, I decided to introduce this example here, this Firetex FX 6010, to all the beams of my project, but the columns I will leave it without fire protection coatings, just to see the difference between of them. It's just a simple example, okay? But of course, I had also other elements with concrete, or we could change it, personalize it, okay? The idea here is just to show you how to set these parameters, and then when we analyze the structure and see the results, we'll try to see the little difference between beams and columns in the fire resistance aspect, okay? So actually this project, just to save time, I already analyzed it, so it's why I'm canceling every step that I'm changed here, just to maintain the analysis finalized. So let's jump here from the beam definition to the results, and when we are here in the results, we can open the same option again using this icon, the fire resistance, that is where we can open the group data. That is the same menu. If you want to change something after analyzing, we can come here, change something, and analyze again. Okay, so it's an easy way to access this option. Here we can also create new zones. So some specific zones, like we can define it, because maybe we can have a special place with a different resistance. We can also then assign a different material to this area. Okay, in this case I'm just creating a very simple example, but here you can do this kind of stuff. Okay, and as I said before, this structure is already analyzed, and here I can see some reports. Okay, one specific report that I can see here is the report with just those elements with errors and warnings regarding to fire resistance. Okay, so if I have problems with fire in this case, this report will show these examples. For example, I can see here that in the level 1, 2, and 3, in the steel elements, I will probably have have some problems here. So let's take a look. Here there are some general data according to the selections that I made. So here I can see that the fire text 6010 was included in the beams, but the columns are without fireproof coating. Okay, we selected 60 minutes to all the levels. Okay, and here the elements with errors and warnings, we can see here that those columns that are not protected, okay, the P1, P2, P3, that is the name and the reference of each one of the columns with this section, they not verify it for 60 minutes. Okay, so it was not enough this size for this time. Okay, and we'll see this same situation to the level 1, level 2, and here the level 3. Okay, so probably here we should come back and change this cover or find another solution to protect this structure against the fire. Okay, another report that could be very useful is the final report that we can print from here. Okay, the fire report, just the chapter related to the fire resistance check. Okay, just the fire resistance check. Here we can open this report, and it's a little bit more complete report. Here in this case we have 9 pages, and here we'll see not just the steel elements but also the other materials, in this case reinforced concrete elements. We are talking about the slabs. Okay, and here we'll see not just those cases that failed, but also those that are verified. So here just some general data, the same situation that we saw before with the configuration, the data per floor. And then we can see the check report. For example, starting with the reinforced concrete elements, the panels that are the slabs, L1, 4, 5, they are the slabs, they verify it, okay, for 60 minutes. Then we see here the same results that we saw in the past report. So the columns for 60 minutes without coating, they are not enough. We'll see here for the level 1. Okay, then here also for the level 1 we see that the beams with 60 minutes using that intumescent paint that we selected, they verify it in this case. Okay, so here we see the red color, here just no color, and here we can see this difference. Okay, with that material, it was enough to resist during 60 minutes. Okay, we can also see some data that are very interesting here, like the critical temperature that we can see here for each one of the bars of the project. Okay, going from 715 to 1141, for example. Okay, and also the shape factor. Okay, here we can see the shape factor. That could be interesting if you need to select a material. You can use this information to go to a catalog for the manufacturer using this data to try to find the best solution before you introduce it to the software and analyze it. Okay, probably here we will see the same situation to other beams of the project, and then probably to the other levels. Here level 2, the same situation. Okay, but this report will tell you everything that is related to the fire resistance of your project. Okay, so that's it. It's quite easy to activate the fire resistance check here at CYPE. Just remember to activate it in the beginning of the project by using this option. Remember that it's gonna be the parameters, they could change a little bit according to the codes that you select, and remember that you can set the required timing here. Okay, if you don't wanna check this, you can also if you don't put these numbers here, the software will not check, because there is no parameter to compare. Okay, so remember to define here the minimum time that you wanna check before you analyze the structure. Okay, so from CYPE, the three main features that I mentioned before, they were covered. But I would like just to show to you this list. I will copy and paste to your chat. There are other improvements and corrections that were introduced at CYPE in this version. There is a list with almost 40 different changes. Some small changes, maybe some enhancements. There are some options that are little problems that we find in the past version, and we just improve it. Some of these options are suggestions that we received from you on your feedbacks when you contact us with our technical support team, or even using our social media. So I think this is a nice list to share with you. So I'll copy this information, I will share in the chat, and then if you wanna see, and maybe one of your wishes that if you are an active user of our software that always send to us your feedback, it's possible that one of your wishes is in this list. So I invite you to take a look here, because unfortunately we cannot see one by one all these points because there is a lot of changes here. Okay, I think that from this point we can finish this part of CYPE. Okay. Although CYPE has these new features that are quite interesting, I think the best part of this version is actually at CYPE 3D. Okay, CYPE 3D is, I'm sure this is the software that had received more features and where the changes are more impressive in this version. Okay, so let's open CYPE 3D. Actually, I left CYPE 3D working here, and let's open here the new interface of CYPE 3D. So here you can see some differences. I'm sure if you have been working with these softwares in the past versions, now here you can see some differences. Okay, I just have here a little model that was created here. It's like a radar tower or something related to a structure for an airport or something like that. Okay, and the first thing that you can see in this new interface is this main bar that we have here. Okay, I will not show everything from CYPE 3D here. Again, we will have a more specific webinar just to cover this software, because there are a lot of new details here, but it's impossible to not talk about this bar or this window, I don't know how to call it, that is here in the left side of the screen. Something that is nice here at CYPE 3D, that now you can grab these options from here. For example, let me try to take these tags here and unplug it from the bar. Okay, so if you have a second monitor, you can send it to a second monitor, or you can just put it in another place in the same screen. Okay, and then just adjust the elements. For example, these guys, I can just pop it from the tab. Okay, so I can change the size of these parameters, and as I said before, I can put it on another place. Okay, or for example, I will try to put it somewhere here, for example. Okay, so this one is one of the new features that we have here. Now it's easier to organize all the options that are available in your screen. Okay, remember that you can always reset everything to the default options using one option, that is this option here. Okay, sorry, not here in the globe, it's here, where you can reset the window layout You can reset the work area, the text, or the view options. Okay, so if you change everything here and gonna back to the default options, just use this little button here. Okay, in this tab, I think there are some things that are very interesting here, but the first thing that is impossible to not see is the tags option that is available here. Okay, in the past versions there was something that was similar to this, that were the layers that were available somewhere here, maybe in the project or in the, I think, the tools option. But now we have this new option to create tags. It's quite similar to that system that we have on this turbine steel, where you just create a tag here. For example, I create a new tag, my new tag. I will set a color to this tag. Okay, for example, let's take, I don't know, just this purple, for example. And then using this button here, I can assign this tag, okay, to bars or panels. Okay, that's important, not just for bars but also for panels. I can select elements here and then decide which tags I would like to associate to these elements. Okay, so it's exactly the same situation that we have at turbine steel. We can add actually multiple tags to a same element, and the color that will be represented here in the screen, if we have more than one tag, it's going to be the color that is in the upper position, the top in this sequence here. So for example, let's imagine that we have one element that was tagged with the type 1 and type 2 tag, both of them, then the green color would be visible. Okay, so it's how it works here. Okay, so this system is quite useful because creating these tags, classifying your elements, then it's going to be very easy to activate and deactivate the elements here. Just then, for example, select one specific type of elements and describe a bar, add a load, define the specific parameter for a node. So with this option, it's much easier to introduce those parameters to then run the analysis. Okay, there are some other cool features here. For example, you can change the position of the text here, defining a hierarchy of the text here, and you can also block this text, and when you block, you cannot it's going to be freezed. Okay, so you have this option to block it, and remembering that we will always have one active tag. For example, it's just one. I cannot have two active tags. And the idea of this is when you started creating a new element, a new bar, a new node, a new shell, a new plan, this plan will be introduced by default in that tag that is activated. Okay, so a good practice could be select the best tag before you add an element, so then you don't have to use this button to change or assign a tag again, because just changing the tag and selecting the one that you want to include the element, it's gonna be easier. Okay, another feature here that is very interesting, that I think it's nice, let me turn it on. One little detail here, in the tables that we have at CYPE in different softwares, when we have a list of parameters like this or like this or like this to activate, in these little squares here, you can click here and you have some options. For example, arrange, select, unselect, or invert selection. For example, here I will just select everything and everything is going to be turned on. Okay, so I don't have to click one by one. I can just click in this area here and then change a parameter to everything using this little button here. So this is a trick that you can find in different softwares here at CYPE. For example, here we have the same situation, and other softwares the same situation. Okay, so but the point here is I can have here some options. For example, to change the color, see it on black and white, or for example represent the structure with these colors here. And there's a point that I think that is the best part of this 3D view, this new 3D view that we have here, that is this little option here. Okay, because if I activate these options, look these results, I can see the size of the profiles in this case, okay, in the real size, okay, of every element. This for me, it's incredible, because now it's much easier to see how the things they are, what's the result of the model that we are creating. From now on, I don't need to create my analytical model here and then go to the 3D view. I can also do that, but now I can just turn on or turn off the element that I'm modeling and then see what is happening, especially if I'm creating something using, for example, changes in adding some adjustments in the disposition of the elements. So with this option, it's much easier to design the structure, okay, considering that we see the real geometry of the structure and not just the analytical model as we had in the past, okay. So I think this is one of the best parts of this version, okay. This is very, very useful, and remembering that you can combine it, activating this parameter, but then deactivating the elements and working with just one specific part, or with colors or no colors. So here there are different situations that you can combine, okay. Another situation that you can have that is similar to this, and it works in the same situation, is with the shells, okay. Here in my model, I have just bars and maybe some panels, but let me open here another model, for example this one that is made by shells, and here you can see a list of tags, okay, that works exactly in the same situation. Here I can select the option to represent the sections or not, okay. I can also activate the colors, for example. Let's open here the colors, and here I have an option to, let me change again, to see it on transparent. Let me see, I think I have to do something intermediate. Now it's gonna be somewhere here. Here I can control if the shells, I will see it with the fill or not, okay. So it's quite interesting because we can work, here you can see the transparency, we can work with these features, not just with the bars but also with the shells, okay. And again, I can turn off everything here, unselecting everything, and then selecting just a specific point because I want to add a parameter or change a property, and then invert and add another part, okay. So these options are very, very useful, especially if you have complex models like this one, for example, that is made by different shells, okay. So this option works with shells too, okay. Coming back here to our model, there are other options here. For example, I can activate by categories. So these categories, they are quite similar to other softwares that we have at CYPE again. So if you have ties or columns or beams, I can activate and deactivate these elements. It's not my case. In my case, I have everything here are bars. So when I deactivate the bars, I deactivate everything. But if you had used these options here, when you describe an element, you decided to define an element as a tie, as a column, as a beam, or you have shells, then these filters, they will work in the same way that the tags, but the difference, there are filters that are always here, and here you can create your own tags, and these filters are by category, okay. There are other options here related to the elements that we see on the screen, like the local axis of the elements. So if I turn off the sections here, the 3D view of the elements, I can display or not the name, the description of this elements. I can also change the size of these texts. If I put it on 200, I will see 200 is too much, okay. So there are some parameters, some view options here that you can also work with that, okay. Another point, but I don't know how to show to you in this situation because I am actually recording this screen and I have here different softwares working, is that we changed the way that these models are generated, okay. So you note in this version that CYPE 3D is much more powerful. It's much more it's faster than the versions the previous versions. Okay, so we use hardware acceleration to draw the models from this version. Okay, so especially if you design structures that are big, you'll see that everything here it's much faster than the previous versions. And I'm sure that combining this hardware acceleration with these tools that we saw, it's going to be much easier to create your models using this new version of CYPE 3D. There are more features, okay? Features to defining panels, to adjust surfaces. As you can see here, fireproof coating reports. We can change the way that the results are presented in the screen. Okay, there are a lot of new features here in CYPE 3D. Again, I invite you to come back in a few days. Okay, look to our seminars here in the presentation schedule. Look for the CYPE 3D presentation. Okay, here in English, because it's gonna be a very nice presentation where we'll cover all these details. Okay, this is the seminar. Improve your BIM project with the new CYPE 3D. Power, speed, and renewed 3D modeling. Okay, so I really recommend you to come here, register, and then participate in this seminar, because it's going to be a very complete one. Okay. Okay, so let's try to summarize to see a little bit about the features from CYPE Connect. Okay, CYPE Connect, and I would say also Strubbing Steel, as CYPE Connect works also inside of Strubbing Steel if we want. Okay, so I have here both of the softwares running here. I will open CYPE Strubbing Steel. Okay, just I prefer to work in Strubbing Steel, but the changes are the same. Okay. In this version, there are some new operations. Okay, so when we open a connection, let me open one of the connections that I have here. I don't know, I'll just open this nice anchor base plate that I have here. So when we have here, we are here in the connections editor. Okay, in both CYPE Connect and Strubbing Steel, we have here some operations in this tab that are new from this version. Okay, the first one that we have is the option to create contact relationships. Okay, I will not show all the details about that, because as we talked a little bit before, we will have one specific presentation showing all these features of CYPE Connect in some days. Okay, but basically here you just have to select two elements that can be plates or sections. Okay, so I select one plate. I can create this contact relationship between a plate and a section, or a plate and a concrete element, in this case that I can introduce here. Okay, or even in between two sections. Okay, so here we can combine it. I just have to select each element I wanna add this situation. Okay, of course I'm using here a random element. This is not the best one to show a contact relationship. The idea, it was just to open this menu and show you that we have this new button. So remember to come back in a few days and see this new feature with a nice example that my colleague is going to be sharing with you. Okay, the second option that we have here that is also new. Okay, it's actually one option that is available when we design an anchor. Okay, so when we create an anchor, we decide which element we are connecting to another element, so which plate to a concrete element. Here we add all the anchors. Okay, here we decide the geometry of these anchors. Okay, then we also add the parameters related to the concrete element where these anchors will be embedded. Okay, and now we have one option that is to habilitate to add a shear lug. Okay, a shear lug could be a little piece of a bar that's going to be probably welded to the plate itself, and that's going to be embedded inside of the concrete element. Let me show you here one little image about that to show you to how it works here in our list of elements. So let's go to CYPE Connect. It's going to be something like this. Okay, this little guy that is here. Okay, So something like this. Okay, so we can now create our base plate using this operation to add the base plate and the anchors, but we can also add this piece here and create this shear lug. Okay, so that's gonna help you, particularly when we have shear forces. Okay, so considerable shear forces, so we can add this element to transfer actually these shear forces to this element and not everything to this anchors. Okay, so it's a good strategy to solve this problem of elevated shear forces. Okay, so now you have also this option to add shear lugs. Okay, there are more options here available at CYPE Connect. For example, a new operation to add a reference plan between two bars. Okay, so when we add a reference plan, this reference plan now it's defined between two bars, where you select the bar 1 and the bar 2, and then you have a plan between both of the bars. Okay, so in this case, P1 in V1, they are in the ZY plan, so we can see this plan available here. But let's imagine we have different bars with different angles, so then you can finally easily find this plane, but by using this new option that is define a plane using two bars. Okay, we also have here some options to easily access the library of elements. Okay, we'll see on details in the next presentation in a few days. Some options to create partial support of base plates. So when we are doing this situation that the base plate it's not 100% in contact with an element, or in this case we don't have a base plate, so we can now create these situations. Okay, we also introduced some different types of in this part that is the end of the anchor. So we have new options here that are squared. Okay, and also we introduced more post installed and chemical and mechanical anchors from Hilti and raw plug. So the library of elements of this type was increased in this version. So chemical fixing, torque control expansion anchors, and also some elements from Hilti that are also available there. In the past versions we already had this kind of elements, but now the types and the elements that were introduced are a little bit more, so you have more options to design your post-installed chemical anchors. Okay, and as you can see, there are it's a pretty nice list of new operations available at CYPE Connect and also Strubbing Steel. So I really recommend you to come back in a few days here again in the training courses and seminars, in the presentation schedule, and watch this seminar that's going to be somewhere here. Let me see, contact relationship, shear lugs, and other new features in CYPE Connect. Okay, so I will leave this link to you in the chat, and then you can also register here. Okay, all right, the last feature that I want to share with you, that is regarding to structural analysis softwares. It's about these guys here, Strubbing embedded walls and Strubbing cantilever walls. So very popular softwares that we have here at CYPE, software that are very flexible, and that when we can design different types of retaining embedded walls or even cantilever walls. The other software is the brother of this one. So these softwares, remembering that they are also connected to the BIMserver.center platform, and then you can export these models to the platform and connect it with other IFCs from other disciplines. Remembering that when we have elements in this software that had rebars, we can detail these rebars combining the software with Strubbing rebar. But in this case, we just would like to inform that these softwares are now also available in Bulgarian when we talk about Strubbing embedded walls. And when we are talking about Strubbing cantilever walls, they are also available in Russian, Bulgarian and Russian. So the list of languages that this software is translated, it's increasing. So now we have different languages from like Polish or Italian, French, English, Portuguese, Spanish, but also Bulgarian and Russian. Okay, so if you was using one of the best versions and you was looking for these languages, so just update your software and select the flag of this language during the installing process, and then you have the software in this language. Okay. All right, so before we start with the features that are from those softwares from to design of installations, let me show you here something related to acoustic simulations. Okay, so let's open the site menu again, and here in the orange tab, we can find here two different softwares to acoustic analysis, okay, or acoustic simulations. We have CYPE Sound and Acrobat by CYPE. Okay, so different softwares with different purposes. One that is 100% developed by us here in-house using the CYPE technology, and one that was developed together with the CSTB, that is a French organism that it's specialized in tech. It's a kind of technical center for buildings, as I said, from France. So both of them are used for acoustic simulations. And in this version here at CYPE Sound, we have a new interesting feature. Let me open here one little example here from the examples that we have here, just to show you what happened here in this software. So I just open one of them. The point is that from now on, we have one unique CYPE Sound. What it means, in the past versions, there were different versions of CYPE Sound, okay, different versions, for one version for each one of the codes that were used to check the sound characteristics from the building. So it was one specific software for France, another one for Italy, another one just for Spain, another one for Portugal, and also one option that was within specific options to personalize these checks. Okay, what we made in this version, it was to integrate everything in the same software. Okay, so if you was using one of these softwares before, I will show you now the names of this, the best names of these softwares. Remember that now in this version, everything of CYPE Sound is now integrated at CYPE Sound. This one here, just CYPE Sound. Okay, and the code now can be selected here. So we have a list for the Spanish code, the Portuguese code, the French code, the Italian code, and then of course you can use the ISO 15712 code to define custom parameters to check your building if you are designing something that is outside of these countries where the code was previously defined. Okay, so if you are working in other countries, just select here the custom accept, and here in the general parameters, then you can set the interaction between space types. You can also define here the designing options, okay, to then check the building that you imported probably from BIMserver.center in this case. Okay, so if you was working, let's open here the list of features. If you was working, let's talk here first, look for CYPE Sound. It's going to be here. So if you was working with these softwares here, CYPE Sound CTA, CYPE Sound RRAA, CYPE Sound NRA, and CYPE Sound DRPD, this one here, it was the Italian one. So everything now it's combined at CYPE Sound. Okay, so remember that. Alright, so telling a little bit more about installations, let's talk a little bit about CYPEfire. Okay, in this case, we'll see some new features that are part of the updates of CYPEfire hydraulic systems. Okay, so this is the software that we use to design the fire extinguishing installations. In this case, we are talking about sprinklers installations. Okay, CYPEfire hydraulic systems. Let me open here just a little example. Okay, my idea here is not to show all the features in this webinar because it's part of those presentations that we have during this week, and the next one show in detail all the changes that we have here. Okay, but I just would like to remember you that the software is now with a new environment, a 3D environment to develop the model itself. There are new tools related to the connection with the this part of the project with the other disciplines. For example, when we import an architectural model, there are new options that can help us to classify the different spaces of our building and then decide how these fire protection systems will be located, will be placed, okay? And there are also new tools to generate the connections between the elements here, okay, to then consider these connections on the analysis, considering all the losses that we can have here, and also consider it on the bill of quantities later, because then we can know how much of each one of the different connections that we have here, okay? Just coming back here to our list of features, if we navigate here, we can try to find CYPE hydraulic systems, and as you can see, the list of features at CYPE hydraulic systems, it's extensive. We have here 6 or 7 different new features related, as I said before, to the options to import spaces, to the generation and the quantities of the fittings, as I said, and also some manufacturers that were now implemented. So now you have more technical information available to then consider this information on your models, and also other options that were introduced here on CYPE hydraulic systems. Okay, so I really recommend you to come back in the next section to see what is available on CYPE hydraulic systems. My colleague Alex will be showing to you in detail in this next section. So just look here for this option that is going to be on July 9, the new features added to CYPE hydraulic systems. Okay. Alright, so let's jump to installation. So let's start with the first software with new features that is part of the installations category. Okay, so here, let me find it. So here, the mechanical installation. So we are talking about heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So we are talking about CYPE HVAC. Okay, so CYPE HVAC had received a lot of features in this version. It's a software that is updating a lot during the past year. So we introduced different systems here in the software, and in this version we have new options that are quite interesting. I'm sure that in the next weeks we'll have a specific, a new specific webinar just for this guy again, because the software is constantly receiving options. So just subscribe to our social media, or even check our website where we publish our webinars, because I'm sure that in some weeks we'll also have a new webinar about this one. But let's see some of these new features. Okay, so I have just a little example here. It was already open here. Let me jump to the model here. I'm sorry, I forgot it was working. The software was working here. I think the first feature that we can see here in CYPE HVAC that I think it's very interesting is this button that is here. Okay, this button is a button that is available in other softwares from CYPE, where we can find information from different brands, okay, different catalogs. We are talking about technical information. Okay, so CYPE have one system that is called the Open BIM database, where different manufacturers can introduce their technical data, the technical data from their source, their products, and then this data will be available on different softwares of CYPE. Here in CYPE HVAC, it's not different. Actually, probably you already know this situation, probably you already used this option, but there are some tools here that I think it's important to show to you because they are new specifically for this program here. Okay, the first thing that I would like to introduce here to you is that we now have a filter here. Okay, so these brands, they can have different type of systems that are related to heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Could be something related to direct expansion systems, or just water distribution systems, or maybe different systems for air distribution, like different types of conducts. Okay, So we don't know exactly which kind of system each brand have. So with this new feature, now we can filter. Okay, so for example, I am planning to design something that is related to multi-split. So I can just select here the multi-split and see which brands that we have that contain technical information related to multi-splits. Okay, I can also combine this filter, selecting here different options, and then I will see this this combination available here in our screen. Okay, another thing that I think it's very important here, or very interesting, let's just select everything here. For example, something yes, let's select this one too. Okay, something that is important is beside these brands that you see here in the main screen, there are other catalogs that are available here. Okay, actually we don't have space to have all the catalogs here, so the here we have some of them, and here you can open and you see a list of other manufacturers from different countries. For example, here we can see something from Turkey, from Poland, from Portugal. Okay, so here you can find, and it works in the same situation here. Okay, you just select one of you want. For example, I would like to work with this manufacturer from Poland. I click here, I just accept the conditions that we have here, and now the catalog from this manufacturer is available in the different options that we then see here in the CYPE TVC main bar. Okay, these products, they will be available. Okay, just remembering that in any time we can just cancel that. Okay, and then where everything is going to be cancelled, and I can also update if I have been working with that and then the manufacturer updated information. I can come here, just click here and update this data with new options, new models, new sizes or whatever. So you can also update this information here. Okay, I will just add some of these guys to my project. Actually, I'm not when I'm downloading this guy here, I'm not adding the elements to the project. I'm just downloading the libraries. Okay, and then these libraries, they could be used in the project. Okay, so I'm just getting this information from the cloud and leaving it on my local library to then use it to model something, to check something, to design something. Okay, so it's how it works. All right, as we are talking about libraries, we are talking about elements that were downloaded to our library. Where is that library that we are talking about? So the library is this little other button here. Here we have the library of elements. Okay, we will have the element that came from the catalogs, and we can also create generic elements. So if you want to create our own element, we can create it here, creating for example, I would like to create a specific emitter. For example, that is a radiator. I just add a new one here. I can add the name that I want with the brand that I want, for example, and add the parameters related to a radiator in this case, and also save this information to my local library and use it from a future project. Okay, so you don't have to use just those elements that are from the catalogs. Maybe you are working with a specific situation that is not part of those brands, so it's another brand or it's something specific from the region that you are working. So here you can also create generic elements and save it to your library. Okay, but here there is a new feature that I think it's very important, that is related to the air distribution materials, more specifically to the way or the type of ducts that we can create here at CYPE TVC. Okay, so from this version, the version 2025B, now are available rigid, semi-flexible, and flexible ducts. Okay, so here we can create these different situations here. Okay, so the rigid ducts, we can create rectangular, two types of rectangular here. Okay, with sections that can be designed with different, you can introduce the data in different ways. We'll see an example in a while. We can also create rigid circular section ducts. Okay, and it's very easy to create here a series of duct or a new model. for example, in my folder, let's call that this system here works as folders. So in my folder of circular section rigid ducts, I don't have anything in this moment, so I can add a new element. So it could be, for example, rigid ducts from the brand I, for example. I don't know, just adding a reference to that. I can add a description, and then I can start adding different sizes or different references with the diameters. In this case, they are circular ducts, so just the diameter. And then this information will be available to then in my elements. It's going to be one of the elements available to then model these ducts in our installation. Okay, so if I accept here, I will have here a new type or a new series or a new family of rigid ducts from one specific brand that I created. I can also duplicate this information and then edit and create, for example, the brand X, and delete this one, or delete this one, or change this one to, I don't know, 130. So here you can personalize it according to the criteria that you want. Okay, but the point is, here you can create this rigid ducts in this library. So for the rectangular sections, I just created one specific case here with 3 sizes. Okay, and when we talk about semi-flexible ducts, we have the same situation. We have some semi-flexible ducts that are rectangular, where I also created here some sections, okay, some sizes, and also circular. So let's create here some circular semi-flexible, okay. So let's just fill our library with different elements. And then we also have the flexible with rectangular and also circular sections too, where I also recreated some sections here before. Okay, once I finish creating these elements here, and probably I will need to create all the elements, the fans, the heat recoveries, the air terminals, accessories, or if you are talking about water distribution or water-based air conditioning, all these elements. Okay, the idea is to first create all the elements that we need, we will accept, and then we can start modeling the installation itself. I will not model here anything that is complete, but I just would like to show you these new buttons that are available here, because this is part of this new feature. Then we now can add rigid, semi-flexible, and flexible ducts. And as you can see, it's very easy to introduce these elements. For example, when I select a rigid duct, the first thing that we can select is if it's a rectangular section, or if it's a circular section. Okay, and when I select one of these options, clicking here in this little arrow, I can select between those that were downloaded from the manufacturers. In this case, there was a manufacturer called URSA with some ducts that are with this with these characteristics, or we can go to our library of generic elements and then find those elements that were introduced before manually, or that were introduced and saved in our computer and use it from another use it in another project. Okay, so here you can select in this case that is a manufacturer. You can select not just the catalog, but also the material, and also one specific material can have more models. I don't know if it's the case here, but sometimes could have this situation. Okay, so here you can select between manufacturers, options for manufacturers, or options that were introduced by us, the users of the software. Okay, once you select one of these options, okay, I would just take one here random, you just start modeling. Okay, very easy to model this structure. Of course, this is just an example. We must connect everything here, add all those fittings. Okay, but as you can see, the software is very easy to model. It's like modeling something on CYPE architecture, for example, or any other 3D modeler. But in this case, we are creating ducts that will be used to analyze the structure, the installation itself. Okay, just to show you some examples that I think are very nice here on the semi-flexible and flexible ducts. I will choose flexible. They are quite similar, and here we can also go to the the blue arrow. So remember, every time that you see this blue arrow, click on it, because there is something nice to see. It's always something that is very helpful. So in this case, the software tells us that from all those manufacturers that we've downloaded information, there are no manufacturers catalogs that are from flexible ducts, okay? But we've created our own library for these generic elements, some generic elements that are rectangular, okay? So I will select one of that, I will accept, and here it's the same situation. Let me just go a little bit like this, and here it's nice because when you start modeling, you can see that everything is going to be created. All the joints, they will be generated, okay? I think I created here one that was too small, so you can easily create your model like this, okay? Let's open one that is circular, for example, from this one, just to see the difference. Let's grab one of these, for example, this size. So as you can see, I just click and then I move, and all the elbows and all the feet, the different elements are automatically generated. Look how easy it is to create this kind of ducts here using this CYPE HVAC, okay? Of course, you can combine this tool with all those options that we have here in the upper menu. For example, using the orthogonality, or even using the polar tracking. If you have other elements, for example, like a construction, like different walls or any other elements from your building, you can use the snap tools, okay, to model your element. And then of course you can use the tools that we have here to delete something, or to move something, to edit something, okay? So here you can easily use the edition tools that we have here, that are transversal tools that work with everything here at CYPE HVAC, to also change, to model, or to change something in these ducts that now can be introduced easily here with these 3 buttons, okay? But remember, to use it, first fill your library with generic elements or with elements from the manufacturers, because you need those dimensions or that technical information to then start modeling, okay? Okay, another element that was also introduced here at CYPE HVAC in this version is the option to add diffusers. Let me find it. Where is this element? So they are somewhere here. Diffusers here. Okay, so it's something that is now available here. You can create your element. Okay, so here you actually create a table with the relation between airflow and pressure drop. You can also add sound pressure parameters, okay? So you can create here like a table that's going to be part of a curve. You can also set if this diffuser is going to be for supply, or it's also used for a return and exhaust situation, or just to a return and exhaust situation. Here you add some parameters related to the dimensions of this diffuser. You add a name to it, and you can also set how the spigots are located, okay? So if you open here, actually you can see the model itself with the parameters that we saw before. You can see here this arrow indicating the flow direction, okay? And here you can see that in this case we have one element that could be a rectangular connection or a rectangular enter, but you can also change this information, changing, for example, the size of this entrance, like for example 100 to 150, or even changing the format, the shape to a circular one, for example, I don't know, one specific situation like this, okay? You can also change the position of this entrance according to the different faces of the element by changing these parameters here, okay? So you can change the angle, for example, this angle, if I put 0 here, I will have this situation. Then I can add some translation here, okay, adding, I don't know, let me try this one, for example. No, it was not good. It's going to be somewhere inside here, okay? But you can change the position of the elements here, okay? And you can also use auxiliary references lines here to model your element. Okay, you can also use this button here to move the elements. Okay, move these connections easily manually. So for example, I can do something like this. Okay, it's going to be much easier. As you can see, the system recognize the surfaces. Okay, when you see this big yellow cross, it means that the element that we are moving, it's linked or it's snapped to a surface. And if it's just these little buttons here, these little icons, the square and this little other symbol, it's related to these borders or these vertices. Okay, so you can use this element to move the spigot. Okay, once you finish the position, okay, you finish the position you want. For example, let's imagine I would like to put exactly in the same position that was in the middle. So I'll just create a new line that's going to be to find the center of this element. I will move this guy here and try to move it exactly to the center, and then I'm sure that is exactly in the center. So let's accept. We must have here there's some parameters that are missing. I just duplicated here. We should increase elements here. Let's do something like this. It's not corrected, but whatever, it's just an example. And then when we introduce these diffusers, okay, we can select again from the library, okay, and introduce it here on the project. Okay, the last feature that I want to show to you about CYPE HVC, it's regarding to the languages of the software. So let's come back here to the list of features. Let me find here CYPE HVC. So CYPE HVC now it's available in all those languages that you can see here. Okay, in this version 2025B, we translated the software also to Japanese. So if you are working with one of these languages, so remember now that you can also install the software in your languages. Maybe you have been using the English version or any other version in the past months. So now you have these languages. So remember to install it in the language that you prefer. To install a software in a different language, it's quite easy. Although you have a site menu, for example, installed in English, you can select in which language you want to install one software. Okay, so I just opened here CYPE HVAC schematics, that is another software, and during the process of installing the software here, you can select the language in the language that are now available for CYPE HVAC. CYPE HVAC also includes the Japanese. Okay. Alright, so let's see something new at CYPE Plumbing. So CYPE Plumbing is our software to design plumbing facilities, as the name says. So CYPE Plumbing is here on the mechanical and plumbing category. And here we have CYPE Plumbing. So let's open CYPE Plumbing 2025B version. Let me open a little project here. There's a new feature. It's just one new feature here. But I think it's a very useful tool, useful option. Okay, it's a little button that was introduced, and then that can help us when we are adding the elements of a piping system. Okay, let's just wait a little bit until it loads. Okay, I have just here a BIM model that was used to develop both water and sanitary installations here. So let me turn off this building just a while here. So here I have the sanitary systems, and let me activate here also the water system, so you can see all the parts of the installation. Okay. The new feature that was implemented here is this little button here, a button to check elements. Okay. It's something that we can activate and deactivate. Okay. So for example, it's a very little change, a small, very simple concept, but I'm sure that is very helpful. Okay, so if I activate it here, I will see that the button will stay activated with this area behind it in a blue color. Okay, and now I can start working or adding elements or introducing the pipes. Okay, the point is, if something is not well connected, before we start analyzing or sizing designing the system, the software will tell to us that something is wrong, that something is not well connected. Okay, for example, my installation here, it's everything very well connected, but I will delete one element. For example, this first pipe that we have here, I will delete it, and immediately I will see this little yellow triangle with this information. This element is disconnected from the installation. Okay, it means that if I don't connect everything to this part, or everything is well connected, it's going to be impossible to then design and check this system. Okay, let me just undo this, and let's turn off this option, and let's delete again the same pipe, and you see that here I don't see the same message. Okay, because the option is not activated. Okay, so from now on I can select when I want to see this option, and I can use it as a tool to help me to check if everything is well connected before we really started analyzing and updating the results. Okay, designing the plumbing facilities itself. Okay, so remembering to use this little button here, the check button, that is now available also at CYPE Plumbing 2025B version. Okay, all right, so that's CYPE Plumbing. A new feature that was implemented in one of our softwares for telecommunications installations. So we usually don't see too much information about the softwares for telecommunications installations here at CYPE, but in this case we have a very special situation with this guy here, the CYPE Systems. Okay, so let me open the software. The guys from our development team, they created a very interesting model here at CYPE Systems that I think could be useful to you to use it as an example, because usually we use CYPE Systems to design telecommunication systems for buildings. Okay, telecommunications installations for the building itself. Okay, but in this case, the guys from our team, they developed this nice model that is a neighborhood, or could be a part of a city. Okay, so I think it's very interesting to you to come here, check this example. So you just can open the software, and here in the file option you can see the different examples that we have here available. Okay, and between them there is this one that was used combining two softwares that we have here in CYPE. First, we combined the OpenBIMsite software. Okay, this software here, let me show you, that is available here to design or to create the topography, to create using the maps option to create the streets, the buildings. Okay, so create a environment to then design the installation itself. Okay, so OpenBIMsite. So here we can activate and deactivate the information that is that was created at OpenBIMsite. You can see here some maps, some contour plots. We can also see some buildings. Okay, and then with this information, and also this could be a topographical surface, the installation was introduced here. You can see all the parts of the installation here. Okay, so if I deactivate everything and maintain just those elements that were introduced here at CYPE Systems, you see that everything was introduced here. Okay, and from each one of the elements we have here a reference, and you can also, of course, you can open these elements, see the different properties of these elements. Okay, but I think it's interesting to you to just come here, open examples, take a look on each one of the situations. And this one, it's very special because it was used to develop a infrastructure for a neighborhood and not just for a building. So it's something that is new here at CYPE, and I think that could be useful to you. So I recommend you to just check this detail opening CYPE Systems. Okay. All right, so I think we can finish here. We covered 15 different new features in this webinar. Probably it's not enough. We have much more features here. I invite you again to participate in the new presentations that we will have in the next days. Okay. You saw that CYPE 3D. It's very, very complete in this version. There are a lot of changes that are very useful. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Learn a little bit more about these options, participating in these seminars. The same situation I say to CYPE Fire Hydraulic Systems and also the new operations that we have at CYPE Connect. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. It was a pleasure to be here with you today, sharing these new options that we've implemented. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your comments that you always send to us. It's very important to us to keep improving the quality of our product. And I hope I see you in a next webinar like this, in the next updates. It was a pleasure. Thank you. See you soon.